Yo, 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 what is up, my peeps? It's your main man, Kop here. We are back with another in our awesome series, Kop Talks, where I just kind of talk while my character flies on a flight path through the Eastern Kingdoms, so you get something interesting to look at besides my ugly mug. Today we're going to be doing a topic that was inspired by my good buddy Metro when he did his Why I'm Metro video. So today we're going to be doing a Why I'm Kop video. So strap in, it's going to be a bit of a ride. One thing you should know about me, you might not already know, some of you will know. I am an insanely huge hockey fan. Blame my country of origin. I'm Canadian. I do believe it's against the law for us not to be huge hockey fans in some way, shape, or form. I truly believe if you don't have some interest in hockey, they will come and take you away to hockey jail. My love for hockey started, I believe I was about 2 or 3 years old, so say about 76, 77. I was sitting there watching Hockey Night in Canada, which is the show that back in the day, that was the only way you got hockey on TV, was Hockey Night in Canada. It was on the Saturday night. And I don't remember who the opponent was, but it was Hockey Night in Canada at that time. Probably was either Toronto or Montreal. And it was the LA Kings playing. I just remember being mesmerized by a player by the name of Marcel Dion. Just the way he moved. He was so silky smooth. And he made everybody else look like they were either standing still or skating through molasses, you know? And that's when I first fell in love with the game. And of course, my older brother also played hockey. And I think that probably had a little something to do with it too. But that Marcel and the Kings were why I fell in love with hockey. And you know, I've been a Kings fan ever since. And it's not easy being a Kings fan when you're in a city in the 70s and 80s, like Edmonton, where you have probably the most dominant team throughout from the whole of my life. They won 5 Stanley Cup championships in 7 years in the 80s. So growing up through that in Edmonton, being a Kings fan, gave me a real taste for rooting for the underdog. So I get my hackles up when somebody underestimates somebody that I see as a worthy underdog. So that's a little bit of background on me. A bit about my early Warcraft career. I started out being the hugest fan in the world of Warcraft 3. I loved the story of Arthas. One of my favorite kind of story paths in fiction is seeing a hero fall to darkness and get redemption. Arthas didn't quite make the redemption part yet. Knock wood. He might still get it, even though Shadowlands tells us he probably won't. So back into something that's a little bit less Warcraft. In about 2005, summer of 2005, so I would have still been playing vanilla. I was playing some Warcraft while my roommate and I were watching the 2005 hockey draft. This is where they draft 18-year-olds, and you know, each team gets a pick based on where they wound up in the standings. And I got into this huge argument with my roommate about who was better and, you know, whose team had gotten the better pick. He was a huge Edmonton Oiler fan. My little cousin. And he said that his pick was far superior to mine. And my pick was a player by the name of Am I Kop. First ever Slovenian to ever play in the NHL, and still only. And but he just started laughing. You know, oh, how could you say that this player from a country that's never had a hockey player before could possibly be any good. And as I mentioned, that just got my hackles up. I just went into full Underdog mode. And we said, you know what, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in 15, 20 years, what their stats look like. Your pick, or the Oilers' first round pick. Spoiler alert, Am I Kop did way better than their pick. Just say it. I was right. So, then YouTube came about. And I believe YouTube might have actually started earlier. Let me just correct myself as I look at my cheat sheet to the left here. Yeah, YouTube was already around. I probably wasn't watching it very much, but shortly after that, I started watching the odd video on YouTube. Probably just for hockey at that point, really, because it was a very young platform at that time. And for the first bit, I did not interact with YouTube. Eventually, I had to make a comment on a YouTube video, which means I had to make an account. So, what I did was I made an account, and it was on a hockey video that I wanted to comment. And being the massive troll that I am sometimes, I chose the username KopTalks, all one word, because I knew that would drive the hockey pundits insane. So that was my choice for a YouTube name. It was my first YouTube channel, KopTalks, and to this day, hashtag shameless plug, that is still a YouTube channel that I maintain that does Let's Plays of non-Warcraft RPGs. Fast forward a little bit to Wrath of the Lich King. I started to find these YouTube videos that were Warcraft related. One of them was an incredibly hilarious series called Noob Tales. N-U-B Tales. And I just started laughing my butt off watching these. And there was one there that I think it was called Thunderstorm. Noob Tales Thunderstorm. I'll try and find it and put a link in the description, a pinned comment, that kind of thing. But it featured someone who mained Draenei Shaman by the name of Hybrid Panda. And it had a link to his YouTube channel. And I liked some of his stuff, so when I was watching his YouTube videos, I noticed that there was a link to this other place. And I was very intrigued. It was called Justin.tv. So, spoiler alert, Justin.tv later was changed to Twitch.tv. So I went, I started watching Panda's stream, and I really enjoyed watching the dude play World of Warcraft. But at the time, Justin TV was so small, they had some really draconian kind of arbitrary marks in order for you to get what is now known as partner on Twitch. And in order to meet those, Panda would hand off his stream by letting some of his friends stream on the channel and basically keep the stream going 24/7. So, let's see, there was Zila, Nilesy, some guy named Siler. And Nilesy had a huge personality. Zila had a huge personality. But the Siler guy, man, he did not speak at all. But he was really good at the game. And I loved watching his PvP stuff. So, the chat would always kind of interact. One of the arbitrary things they wanted you to do back then was play so many advertisements. I don't even know if you have a button to play advertisements on Twitch anymore. I never saw one when I was there on Twitch. So, I always have to remind Siler, do your advertisements. And once he got talking and came out of his shell a little bit, he turned into one of my favorite people. and one of my favorite personalities online. And he eventually made his own Twitch channel. And I love to hang out in his chat because I actually liked his stuff better than I like Panda's. But don't tell Panda that, because Panda's a really awesome dude. And while I was hanging out in Siler's Twitch channel, I started talking to this one dude whose handle was BlackHammer99. And I said to the guy, I naturally called him BlackHammer99. But he started to correct people, myself included, and said, no, that's just my handle. My name is Metro. And I was like, oh, awesome. And I called him Metro. And him and Siler started calling me Kop. Because, of course, my username on Twitch TV was identical to my username on YouTube. It was Kop Rules, and nobody's just going to say that. It's way too long if you're trying to keep up with chat. You actually got a decently popular channel, which Siler did, and eventually Metro did, and they actually had a group of people doing 3 different channels called Ace Games TV, and the chat would always be popping off, so no one ever called me Kop Rules, they just called me Kop. It's not true. I think they had a guy do a stream once by the name of Hamder. I think he actually called me Kop Rules once, and I had to correct him and tell him to call me Kop. Well, come about Cataclysm, I was trying to get into raiding, and the guild I was in at the time had 2 raid teams, and neither one would let me join. They had a raid team 1, and they had a team that was essentially backups. Essentially, they had a 25-man team and a 15-man team, and they wouldn't let me join either. And I think I was lamenting that one day, and Metro was like, dude, come on over to Fire Tree. Come join us over here. I said, dude, I am not good. You will not, I will make your raid team much worse if you put me on it. And he was like, come on over. He says, I got you, man. Don't worry. I will help you be better. It's one of the things I've always respected, admired, and loved about both Metro and Siler. They have worked tirelessly to make other people better. Whether it's at streaming, making YouTube videos, marketing themselves, playing World of Warcraft. Both of those guys have gone to the ends of the earth to help people. And I've always kind of had that in as part of myself, too. I always love to help people as much as I possibly can. I think that's one of the reasons why the 3 of us get along so well. But I had some computer problems, and I couldn't raid right away. But I came over to Fire Tree anyway. And shortly after that, they announced Mists of Pandaria. And I was like one of those guys. Come on. They're never going to do Pandaria. That was an April Fool's joke. It'll never be Mists of Pandaria. Then they announced Mists of Pandaria. But as I was watching the announcement trailer, I had Virtual BlizzCon for that year, I think. Either that or I was just watching the announcement trailer. I honestly don't remember from back then. And I saw the monks. I was like, yes! Yes! That's what I've been waiting for my whole life. I'm not a paladin or a shaman or even a death knight, as much as I love the Arthas storyline. I'm a monk. And I immediately logged on to Fire Tree, and I created, I think, an undead warrior. Called him GrasKOPpa. Because I couldn't get Grasshopper. because people who were just as big TV nerds as me were also Warcraft nerds. And there is a TV series from the 60s called Kung Fu. And it even had a sequel TV series in the 90s called Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, which is the one that I really liked. But the main character in both of them was played by David Carradine, amazing actor, by the way. And he was a Shaolin monk. And his master always called him GrasKOPpa. And that's why I chose GrasKOPpa, was in honor of that. But apparently there were a bunch of other people choosing Grasshopper, so I had to make it GrasKOPpa. That was the origin of that. Jump ahead to Legion. Siler, Metro, and I had this friend by the name of Harry. I always like to describe Harry as the ultimate chav. And I mean that in the absolute, possibly best way. Harry is an awesome guy. And since Siler had done a bunch of really successful 1-to-max level streams, he'd done them for every expansion on the beta, and he'd done them, a bunch of them during it, and he would do them for charity, and it was a great way to generate views and followers. And so Harry wanted to get into streaming, so he would do them, and he'd keep failing. And I knew Harry could do it. He's one of those people that anything he wants to do, he actually has the potential to do it. Like, the guy is genuinely talented and funny and can hold an audience. So I was really behind him. I was kind of, come on, you can do it, Harry. You can do it. I would always cheer him on. So I got this idea in my head in August of 2017 that I would show Harry. I would show him that if I, an old, broken down man who had basically been on permanent disability for, 12 years at that point, could do a 1-to-max level stream, and so could he, a young but healthy buck. And I wanted to show him that it was possible. That if I could do it, he could do it, and kind of push him to do it. And I decided, well, he'll never just believe me that I did it. I gotta stream this thing. So I set up streaming software, set up a time for it to happen, and being completely the noobiest noob who ever knew a noob, I started streaming. And I'll never forget, the first 3 people to show up in my stream: Siler, Metro, and the one and only Hyperpan. And I was having real issues at the beginning of the stream, and all 3 of them helped me troubleshoot it while I was leveling. Like I say, awesome people. It's people like them that give me hope for the World of Warcraft community, even though Panda doesn't participate in World of Warcraft anymore. That I know of. I've talked to the man in a long time. I should drop by and watch his streams more. Anyway, that's how I got my start streaming as Kop. So fast forward to BFA. I'd done a lot of leveling streams. It was basically my entire content. And I decided that it was time for me to actually get good. So I started really buckling down and trying to learn as much as I could about Monk. Reading about it, any videos I could find, trying to absorb as much as I could. And I mentioned to Metro that I really did want to, become a good monk and see if I could be part of the raid team. And, he brought me in. God bless that man, he brought me in. I had been on a few end of expansion runs where we would do achievements for all the raids that gave mounts so that everybody would get mounts from all the raids before they became 1% drop rates. But my performance frustrated the heck out of a monk that was one of our tanks by the name of Margrain. And that was actually kind of what spurred me on at the end of Legion. Was he gave me a real talking to for my monk performance. But come Battle at Dazar'alor, I actually started working really hard at it. And I made a lot of progress, too. I think by Ny'alotha, I was actually getting pretty decent. And I was streaming the raids. And that's how the raid stream started. And fast forward to the middle of Shadowlands. Our raid team dissipated. And essentially, about a couple of weeks, maybe a month after that, I got a tap on the shoulder from Metro. And he told me, hey, dude, I really like this new guild that I'm helping as raid leader. I think I want to kind of stick with them. And I think you'd fit in really well. And myself, I do miss raiding. I really miss, being in a group of 20, 25, whatever people, and getting that high from downing a boss that was really difficult to progress on. And I said to him, I said, dude, I'm a Venthyr monk. You know that's a problem for a lot of these mythic guilds. He's like, no. It's a heroic progression guild. He says, your personality will fit in so well with these guys. Do not even worry about it. They don't care about that kind of thing. Just come, do your best, help out. And I did. But when I came to this server, I tried to make GrasKOPpa for a name, and it wouldn't let me. Again, I was stymied by people who were fans of the same 60s and 90s TV show that I was. So I kind of had an epiphany. Instead of GrasKOPpa, what if I was GrasKOPpa? Because I'm not GrasKOPpa. That's my character. I'm Kop. That is who I am. That is what I am. So it kind of merged the two into this character here that you see right now. And that's kind of where GrasKOPpa came from. So that's kind of my journey as Kop right now. I legit could have made this video 2 hours long. I'm sorry for how long it is already. Trust me, I will have cut a lot of content. That's why you'll see skips in the flight path. But if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'm going to do that one YouTube thing that I hardly ever do. Please like, share, favorite, subscribe, ring the notification bell. But more than anything else, please hit that subscribe button if you have not already. We're trying to make this the year of 1,000 subs. Trying to get to that arbitrary number of mine, just like Panda back in the day, so that I can get my partnership with YouTube. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed the story of Kop. Peace. Kop out.